Let's do OU at Bama. Well, I know we still have our Bama fan in the chat.
Okay.
He can give input if he wants to, if he's nervous at this game. Because as Oklahoma travels down to Alabama, and Alabama looks to get revenge for last season's disappointing loss against Oklahoma, it kind of feels like this is a good matchup for Oklahoma. I'm going to be honest with the way Alabama struggled to run the ball and how good Oklahoma's front seven is. And then you also throw in the piece of Mateer's a runner. Alabama struggled with running quarterbacks. That being said, while I feel like it's a good matchup for Oklahoma, they're favored by 6.5. It says 4.5 on the graphic, but it jumped to 6.5. Let me double check that real quick. With me and Sanders,
It's 6.5 right now.
We're looking right before the show, but it's up to 6.5. So despite me thinking it's a good matchup, Bama's still favored by 6.5, and there's good reason for that too. But your thoughts on this game, JP?
One of the big things, like you highlighted on, is front seven of Oklahoma and that defense really against Bama's offense, which has been dynamic. Bama has the 114th best rush offense, 112 yards per game. OU is the second best rush defense, only giving up 78 a game. So I don't expect Bama to run the ball well, meaning they're going to have to pass well on first and second down to avoid the third and longs against this front seven all night. That being said, Bama is excellent at passing. They're 12th in the country at 291 a game. And OU is a top 35 at 34, giving up just 200 yards per game through the air. That both sides of the ball, it's going to be a question of which quarterback delivers, which offense is able to find key plays, because both of these defenses they are really good, especially talent-wise, and then they are really good at just forcing havoc, whether it's in the run game
For sure.
or it's through the air as well. Bama is the 8th best pass defense. They're 164 yards per game that they have allowed. They've played Tennessee, by the way, and Tennessee is the second best pass offense in the country. So to still have the 8th after playing Tennessee is just excellent. OU, their offense has not been great. It's been middle of the pack for both, 77 and 79th in rushing passing. Bama's top 50 against the run, and like I said, 8th against the pass. One of the things you have to see is John Mateer not who he was anymore now post thumb surgery, which has been the case. He hasn't thrown for 225 yards since the Auburn game. And in the Auburn game and every game prior, he threw for 270 yards plus. I don't expect that to change now. Honestly, if he does that, it would shock me.
Proud mean they would win, I would say.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and say out front, I will be at this game. So I'm really excited to see John Mateer in person, see Ty Simpson in person, and see this game this weekend. And if he does throw the ball through the air, it's going to be really interesting how that crowd reacts if they're able to hit deep passing plays down the field to Deion Burks and Satanga and Kanik. They're tied in as well. But I don't expect it to change. If that happens, I will be shocked, and I think OU, like you said, Jack, has a really good chance in this game because Mateer, like I said, has not thrown for 225. Plus, since the Auburn game, he's averaging, I think it's like 182 passing yards per game since the Texas game, and that includes the Texas game. I'm curious to see, does OU have some run game, though, that can really help them? Do they throw Mateer into the run game a lot like they did against Tennessee? That was something I asked for, something that they did.
And I think they'll do it again. This is essentially a playoff game.
It's another, like you said, another playoff game. It's a playoff elimination game. Mateer said they know what's on the line here. They know what they have to go do, so I think they'll use Mateer a ton running the football. They've had, Xavier Robinson the past 2 games has had 100 yards on the ground. Big part of that is he's had big pops in both games. He had a 65-yard rush and a 43-yard rush the last 2 games, that being against South Carolina and Tennessee. Big pops on the ground, big explosive plays, which will help this OU offense get into the red zone, which is one of my big keys to this game. I have 2. Red zone game will be a factor. OU is number 1 in the nation in red zone scoring on all 28 trips there this season. That's field goal or touchdown. They want touchdowns, of course, against this Bama offense, but they score every time they're there in the red zone this season. Bama is number 8 in red zone defense this season in terms of scoring percentage. Really key matchup to the game right there. Does Oklahoma end up with 3 or 7? Will tell a huge story because you don't trust that offense to continue to go down the field like you would Alabama, meaning they've got to get down there and they've got to score 7 every single time. My other key to the game is turnover battle. Bama is forcing 1.9 turnovers per game. OU just 0.9. Bama hasn't lost the turnover battle once this season, and they've tied it just twice. Somehow, some way, OU has to win the turnover battle. You have to find some way to do that with their defense and Mateer protecting the football. If they win the turnover battle, that I think might just be the padlock stat of the game, because it will just keep that momentum towards OU. And it's again another thing that's completely unexpected. So it's a huge part to this game. Does Mateer protect the football against a defense that almost forces 2 a game? And does Simpson turn it over against a defense that only forces 1 a game?
It does really feel like the padlock stat. In Oklahoma's biggest SEC games, Tennessee, they were +1 turnover margin. Hey, they won that one. They were -3 against Texas and lost, and they were -2 against Ole Miss and lost.
Yeah.
So it really does feel like they have to win it. And I think Bama has turned the ball over 7 times this year, and that's kind of the Ty Simpson effect of taking command of the offense. He's done a great job of not putting the ball in harm's way. I think he still just has the 1 pick on the season against Vandy. He has been strip sacked a couple times, which don't let R. Mason Thomas get around that edge, or I think there's high odds of that happening. But
well, I'm not going to answer your call right now, Harris, but I will give you my phone number, not over air.
Yeah, everyone text JP real quick. But no. And then you mentioned Xavier Robinson having back-to-back 100-yard games, and the game before that, Torrey Blaylock rushed for 100 for Oklahoma. And that's kind of my real question is that recent run game success real? Because I had an Oklahoma fan coming at me and basically being like, we're running the ball better, because I've been pretty skeptical of that rushing attack all year. And it has been the past 3 games. He rushed for 171 against South Carolina, 136 against Ole Miss, and 192 against Tennessee, which progress is progress, but those are 3 bottom 5 rush defenses in the SEC. And Alabama's only allowing 104 over that same rushing yards per game over that same time frame. So I'm interested to see if it was, hey, we really have found something there, using Torrey Blaylock a little more, Xavier Robinson, getting those explosive runs, or is it we just played some weaker competition? I'm getting attacked by a fly. What the heck? Interesting to see how that plays out. Last thing I want to add, you mentioned the explosive runs. That's kind of what Oklahoma's offense has had to thrive on, is explosives, even in the passing game. They have 2 touchdown drives of 70 yards or more and 8 plays or more in SEC play, both against South Carolina. They are not going to just march down the field on you.
Yeah.
So, once again, don't turn the ball over Alabama, because that's one way they don't have to march is if they force turnovers. And then also don't give up chunk plays. Don't let Xavier Robinson pop you for a 50-yard touchdown rush. Don't let Satania burn you over the top.
Don't get beat on the fake substitution.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Watch out for any tricks. Much easier said than done, obviously, because Oklahoma's been pretty consistent at generating explosive offensive plays. But that's really what you got to look out for is make them march on you, because I don't think they'll be able to, especially not on the road.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't think OU is fake punted yet this year. This feels like the game to bring it out.
Sure.
Trickery, I think, is it could be a huge factor for OU because, like you said, just 2 drives where they've gone down the field tantalizingly, 8 plays, 75 yards. Trick plays, flea flickers, quarterback throwbacks, which that would be sick. John Mateer catching a touchdown pass. I would love
He
to see
seems like a QB that would catch a touchdown pass.
The Philly special towards OU.
That would quiet the crowd. Also, I need to knock on some wood because I've been dissing South Carolina's defense, and that's who A&M plays this weekend.
Yes.
So I don't want to be like, it's so easy to march down the field on South Carolina and then watch my team not manage to do that Sunday. So knocking on wood for that.
All right, well, we can get into picking this game.
Yeah, let's do it.
Bama has won 17 straight home games in Bryant-Denny at Nick Saban Field. Of course, Kalen DeBoer has been terrific at home his entire career. But Kalen DeBoer is consistently in close games that they just end up winning down the stretch. Bama's won 8 in a row this season since the Florida State game, which I went back and watched the Florida State game, like highlights. It's crazy how much can change in 9 weeks from a perspective in this sport.
For real.
To think where Florida State was going to be, and now they should have already fired Mike Norvell, but they may not fire him until after this weekend. And here Bama is pretty much, some people think they might be the best team in the country. Bama's won 8 in a row. Oklahoma has won 1 in a row, so something has got to give here. Again, I will be at this game. OU a 4.5 or 6.5 point dog. Apologies again to the graphic. I'm all over OU in the 6.5. Personally, I'll be cheering on the Sooners in this game. I'm not like Sanders. I'm not weak. I won't be saying Roll Tide while I'm there this weekend
With an Alabama fan, correct?
with an Alabama fan. I won't simp in that way. I feel no pressure to do so. I will be in state gear anyway, so I'm not going to say Roll Tide in state gear. That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
Give me OU to shock Alabama in this game. I think defensively they've got everything they need to be in this game, and I think I trust Mateer to hit some deep shots down the field, to use his legs in really critical moments. And I think at some point DeBoer is going to lose a game at home at Alabama, and this just feels like the one that it's going to be, honestly. I just have a feeling on this one. Call it a seer prediction.
Okay.
I think OU wins, of course, and covers, of course. So give me Boomer Sooner to defeat the Tide and force Tucker and his heart to be in a really tough spot when Bama has to go to Jordan Hare to make the playoff.
Heart
in 2
palpitations
weeks.
for sure. I wonder how that would. If Bama loses, I wonder who becomes second in the SEC. Like, because they would still just have the one conference loss. So I wonder.
Second in the ACC would still be. Well, actually, no. I'm pretty sure it'd be Old Piss, if I'm not mistaken.
Interesting. Yeah, because you can't do head-to-heads because
these were the 4 ways Georgia made it. So Georgia had to win out, and then they would need OU to beat Bama and the School of North to win out.
So Georgia would be in the driver's seat.
Georgia would be in the driver's seat, yes.
Okay.
Because School of North would be favored to win out, and you don't need Texas to beat A&M in that scenario at all. So it would be Georgia in the driver's seat if Bama loses.
Assuming Georgia also wins on Saturday because they have a tough matchup themselves, so we'll talk about it in a minute. I also have OU covering this game. I think Alabama's going to win, so I'm not with you on OU winning. DeBoer loves himself a close game, and OU's defense profiles to make this a very close game. I just don't know if they'll get the turnovers needed to win. I trust Ty Simpson more than I trust Mateer at this point in the season. So give me Oklahoma to cover, but I think Alabama will win. And unsurprisingly, even though he's not here, the man that has said Roll Tide unironically before picks Alabama to cover the 6.5. He basically is the Alabama fan on this podcast. It's crazy. And I love that he's not here to defend himself.